Hello and welcome to News9 Facebook Live with me, Adarsh Vepachedu. And what may sound like a bit of good news, India may as well have crossed its peak of coronavirus caseload in the month of September, particularly in the period September 14th to 30th. And it's not me saying it, it's the Finance Ministry that has said this in its September Economic Review report. The Finance Ministry, however, also cautioned that the pandemic was far from over. The ministry, while quoting the data, also urged all stakeholders to get into the act for economic revival, especially with Unlock 5.0 taking shape. So is the worst for India over? What next when it comes to the caseload trajectory of our country? And should we be taking these numbers with a pinch of salt? To discuss some of these very matters, we have independent researcher Professor Milind Vatve joining us on the phone line, someone who is currently keeping a close eye on how the pandemic is panning out. Many thanks, sir, for speaking to us. You are the data man, and the data put out by the Finance Ministry goes like this. Between September 14th and 30th, the 7-day moving average of daily positive cases has steadily declined, is what the Finance Ministry has said, from about 93,000 to 83,000, while the 7-day moving average of daily tests has risen from about 1,15,000 to 1,24,000. So essentially, the number of cases has come down, even as the number of tests has gone up. What's your understanding, Mr. Milind?
Yeah. I will give more importance to the number of deaths than the number of cases and number of tests. Okay, because number of deaths is less likely to be biased. And even in the number of deaths, you see a downward trend in the last about 3 weeks. So this certainly means that the trend is robust. Okay, it has been coming down. But even epidemic, there can be ups and downs. Okay, so we have to be cautious. It is definitely a good news, but not a time to celebrate. Okay, not get back into crowding and so on. But I would certainly say that it is time to get back to work and improve the livelihood and economic condition definitely.
Professor Milind, the number of cases, like we just discussed, may be going down right now, but that doesn't really mean that the pandemic is over, in your own words. How do you see Unlock 5.0 playing its part in contributing to the caseload, both as of now and in the days to come?
Sorry, the voice was breaking.
Well, Professor, I was just speaking about how the numbers, the coronavirus cases, number of cases may have reduced, but it simply does not mean that it's all over. That's what the Finance Ministry has said, and that's what you're saying yourself. I wanted to ask you as to what kind of a role will Unlock 5.0 play in contributing to the caseload, both as of now and in the days to come?
Well, I would say that there is no problem in getting back to work, except for the highly crowded things like processions and big gatherings and so on. All the rest of the work should be resumed. And as long as we follow certain guidelines and certain precautions, it's fair. The epidemic is going to stay for a longer time, but it will not be as deadly as it was earlier.
But Professor, it's all again in our hands. While there is Unlock 5.0, at least me at a personal level, if I were to tell you, on a daily basis, I do not see people really practicing the precautionary measures, right from wearing masks to following hand hygiene and maintaining social distancing. We do not see too much of that really taking place. Even as Unlock 5.0 is in place, people are beginning to go outside, but they're letting their guard down. So do you feel that this could be detrimental? Because ultimately we've constantly heard and we've seen in various cases as to how if people do not behave or conduct themselves in a responsible manner, we could even have a situation where another lockdown of sorts could be imposed on us. Forget about getting the cases under control. So what do you have to say about the conduct of the people at large? Well, looks like we've lost the line with the professor right there. But yes, we were just discussing about how things are really looking at this point in time. The finance ministry, has come out with a certain bit of data. They've said, as per their economic review report, that things are looking a little okay when it comes to the overall number of cases. The number of cases in the last 2 weeks, in the last fortnight of September month, that is, while the number of cases are decreasing, the number of tests are increasing. So that may as well be giving some kind of a positive sign. And maybe the worst is over, especially when it comes to the kind of effect that India has borne due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But yes, we may never know, because we're talking about a situation where Unlock 5.0 is coming into effect, and people are almost going out there in large numbers. So it remains to be seen as to how that aspect of it will really pan out. We have the professor back online with us. Professor, looks like there indeed seems to be some technical issue right there. So yes, bottom line really is what I was just mentioning. It is in the end in our hands. We have to ensure that we are following all precautionary measures, and only then this sort of good track record, that if we were to call that, will be maintained for a longer period. And that is exactly what we need at this point in time. Just because the finance ministry is saying that we've seen the peak caseload in the last half of September does not mean that the pandemic is over. That's what they have said. The finance ministry has also cautioned quite essentially that this is not the time for us to let our guard down, and ensure that we are practicing all precautionary measures, even as we also go out there and open up our economic activity. And that's what it really boils down to at this point in time. Yes, again, it's all a matter of responsibility, and that is what it really boils down to, as to how responsible will the citizens of the country be. Professor, if my voice is audible, I was just talking about how it's all in the people's hands, and that's what the finance ministry itself has said, that they've cautioned, while the numbers may be a little positive, they've cautioned that this is not over by any means. I was just asking you a question on the lines of how, in case if we are not responsible enough when it comes to taking our precautions, there may as well be another lockdown that could be imposed, which we've seen across the world already, and hints of that in India as well. We've seen brief lockdowns in various places. So what would be your larger message for the viewer who may as well be feeling a little positive and happy at this point in time with these kind of numbers coming out?
Yeah. So I would say that we need to continue being cautious, but it's not restricted to masks and sanitizers. There are more things. So
Please.
In our society particularly, we see people spitting on the road.
Correct.
Okay, or in public places. Now, this is something that we need to emphasize, that masks are there, and we should continue to use them for a few months to come. But we need to go beyond that and inculcate cleanliness habits everywhere. That is the message of the pandemic.
Right. Well, Professor, many thanks for joining us, and for sharing your insights on the kind of numbers that have now been put out by the finance ministry in their economic review report. A bit of positive update, but yes, it comes with an important rider. We may be doing well at this point in time, which is the reason why the numbers are in a sense coming under control. But yes, we have to continue doing well. We have to continue taking all the necessary precautions, and that's really the only way to go about it. If you like the information that we've shared with you this afternoon, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to News9 on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Many thanks for joining us.